The video game industry has never been stronger, and with the number of games released increasing year on year, and with Big Brother Steam releasing over 12,000 games in 2023 alone, I thought it was time to start giving some honest reviews of some of the ones that I own. But we're taking it up a notch. We're going to be reviewing my old retro games, and I'll be playing some classics from years gone by and giving you my honest reviews based on 3 categories. In recent years, retro gaming has seen huge resurgence in popularity, and many gamers are eager to relive their childhood memories, and classic consoles like the NES, the PS1 and the GameCube have become highly sought after. The unique art styles, soundtracks and gameplay that defined each era are being celebrated once again, and there's now so many new games blending classic aesthetics with modern innovations. Grab your favourite snack, sit back, and let's jump into some retro gaming fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more honest reviews and gaming content. I'm Meowtingz, and let's get started. Today, we're doing our very first review, and it's none other than MediEvil on the PlayStation 1. We're going to break today's review down into 3 categories: story, graphics and visuals, and gameplay and mechanics. But first, a brief overview into MediEvil. MediEvil is an action-adventure hack-and-slash video game developed by Sony Computer Entertainment Cambridge. It was released in Europe and North America in 1998 and in Japan in 1999. The idea initially was a fusion of Capcom's Ghosts and Goblins combined with the art style of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And you can really tell. By November 1st, 1999, it reached over 800,000 units sold worldwide and reached PlayStation Platinum status. I think this was partly down to their marketing. It was so on point for the game and played so well on the humour they were trying to pull off. Have a look at this original trailer for the game. So let's start with the story. MediEvil is a classic action-adventure game released in 1999 for the PlayStation 1. The game follows the story of Sir Daniel Fortescue, a bumbling knight with no bottom jaw who is resurrected to save the kingdom of Gallowmere from the evil sorcerer Zarok. Despite his less than heroic past and pathetic death, Sir Daniel gets a second chance to prove his worth and save Gallowmere. As you continue through more of the game, it becomes clear that Zarok has no idea what he's doing and can't seem to beat our bony friend, so he throws lots of tricky obstacles and bosses in the way. It does seem to give players that sense of progression though. One thing I will say is MediEvil's standout feature is its humour. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, and Dan's misadventures are filled with witty dialogue and amusing situations. The story, while straightforward, is engaging and keeps players invested in Sir Dan's quest for redemption. Based on the brilliant, witty humour, fun dialogue and the occasional cool cutscene, going to give this section a solid 8 out of 10. Next up, we're going to be talking about graphics and visuals. For its time, MediEvil boasted impressive graphics, with 3-dimensional gothic art style that set it apart from most other games. The environments are richly detailed, and the character design is both charming and eerie, and pushed the boundary. And this really made the game truly unique. The game takes you to many locations across a fairly extensive map, with over 20 levels ranging from graveyards, farms, pumpkin patches, a pirate ship to even a haunted ruin. There really is something for everybody. The soundtrack complements the game's spooky atmosphere perfectly. The team were asked to compose a Danny Elfman-influenced score, similar to those of Beetlejuice and The Night Before Christmas, and these similarities really show in this. Have a listen to this song.
Who has summoned the Witch of the Forest?
Let's talk about the voice acting as well. It's absolutely superb. It adds to the game's desired aesthetic and really brings home the old England setting, if like oldie worldy, ye oldie voices, and it seems to fit perfectly.
By heck, am I glad to see you.
After you were slain, I shot Zarek's champion, Lord Kardok, a clean kill through the irons of 1,000 yards.
Take my warhammer! It'll smash anything and it won't fall apart like a club.
Game developers had so many limitations back then, and I feel that the developers really excelled, and they made a pretty game. Not just a normal game, but it really did excel at making the undead and the game alive. And then when you compare it to the remake, it really does carry the character really well and immerses you in this world of Gallowmere. And for that reason, I'm giving the graphics and visuals section a solid 7. What do you think so far? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. In the third and final category, we talk about gameplay and mechanics. MediEvil combines simple button bashing with some fun puzzle-solving elements, and I really like it. It kind of feels hack and slashy, but I wouldn't put it under the term hack and slash. Some of the puzzles are a bit weird and can be a bit obscure, requiring players to think outside the box, but I think it's a strength and a weakness there, because it makes you sort of really have to go deeper into the game itself to understand what's going on, rather than just winging it and just getting through it. Alongside that, players have to navigate through various levels, defeating enemies and collecting items, and solving the odd riddle or two. Some of the items that you need to collect are really important, and when you find the chalice of the level, that then takes you to the Hall of Heroes, which, is then a next bit of the area, which allows you to actually get a free either item or upgrade for one of your weapons. And it's a pretty cool little feature, and actually, in fact, makes a big difference later on in the game at the end of the fights. So, yeah, it's worth doing. And let's continue talking about these weapons. The game features a wide array of different things. So you got from swords to crossbows, a giant hammer, which I freaking loved, and it keeps the combat engaging. There is even a really weird weapon. It's a chicken wing. What? I mean, the chicken wing is quite a useful item, to be fair, because you throw it at an enemy and they turn into food, which makes you stay alive for longer. Win-win. Going back to the controls, though, they did feel a little bit clunky, which, by modern day standards is understandable, but I think back then, having an analog stick made a big difference to this game. Having to just use a D-pad didn't really work that well, because it felt very static. I would say that when you did use the analog stick a little bit, you ended up feeling that you were running rather than walking everywhere. So sometimes I ended up skidding off the page or the area just because it was just, I was pushing it too hard, which killed me a lot of the time. The big and negative here for me is that sometimes it felt a bit repetitive in terms of the combat, rather than the button bash, which is good for me. I enjoy button bash easily, but there wasn't really any variety in the moves. You had triangle and square, and that was all you really had. And then after that, you're using the analog stick to move your camera around, and sometimes the camera would get stuck behind a wall or around a corner that you wouldn't even necessarily know was there, and you just get stuck in this position, and it'd be really annoying. Finally, talking a bit more about this, there were some really cool designs of bosses here in this game. So, fighting these big things against you was really cool. One of my favorites was the giant pumpkin, and we've already seen beforehand in part of the video, the stained glass boss. So, these two characters really stick out. They're vibrant, they're cool. It really feels that, Halloween-y narrative, and I like it. And let's not get started on the final boss. This was a bit of a slog, to be honest. So you had to actually fight 3 levels. One of them literally didn't tell you what you had to do until I sort of found out the hard way by killing myself several times accidentally. But if you get there in the end, and this was, the difficulty where there wasn't really much telling you what you need to do. But that wasn't a bad thing. It was actually quite useful. The final boss was a mix of everything in the end. It kind of used all the mechanics from the whole game and made you really think about what you had to do and how you had to do it. But it did become a bit of a slog, I feel. There was, if you died at the beginning or you died at the end, you had to do all 3 phases again. And I mean, that was quite difficult back then, especially when the games didn't have autosaves. You just start again. And for that reason, I'm going to be giving gameplay mechanics a 6. Overall though, MediEvil is a nostalgic trip back to the late 90s, offering a mix of action, humour and gothic charm. So let's do one final summary. Visually, MediEvil impresses with its charming 3D gothic art style and well-crafted environments. The soundtrack is influenced by Danny Elfman. The voice acting is awesome, and it really enhances the oldie worldy vibe. The gameplay combines hack and slash with puzzle solving. Some of these puzzles are very cleverly designed, others can be quite frustrating. The controls, by modern standards, feel a bit clunky, but for a PS1 game, using the analog sticks, it kind of works. Despite some of these flaws though, MediEvil captures the spirit of its era and provides a nostalgic trip for fans of the genre. Its humor and charm have secured its status as a cult classic, and in 2019, the remake was successfully introduced and for a new audience and for a new adventure. Obviously, don't forget there was also a sequel on the PlayStation 1 called MediEvil 2. In summary though, MediEvil is a delightful adventure that, while showing its age in some areas, remain a fun and engaging title definitely worth exploring. If you can pick it up anywhere or just download it, it's worth it. Its quirky humor, engaging gameplay, and memorable design earn it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, that's right, I can do half numbers. It's my channel. Thanks again so much for watching. I really appreciate any comments, likes, shares, subscriptions. Looking forward to doing the next retro review very, very soon. Signing out, here's Meowtingz.